thanks for tuning in with Keeper Talks with Kiki. So these are going to be the little segments that I make while everybody's going through social distancing and quarantine and everything like that. I'm going to be making some education videos. So thanks to everybody who voted for what animals I should feature and who asked questions. People like Keely, Kevin, Savannah, Josh, David, Michelle, Quinn, Sarah, Allie, Austin, Michael, Keely, Morgan, Savannah, Garrison, Rhiannon, Alexis, and Josh. Thank you guys so much for voting, submitting questions so that I could talk to you about. Koalas, tigers, and sloths today are the animals that we're featuring. So let's dive in on koalas. If I mess up and call them koala bears, I am sorry, because that is not right. They are not bears. They're not related to bears. Early explorers thought that they looked like cute little teddy bears. They called them koala bears, but that is not their taxonomy at all. They are actually marsupials, so they have the pouch on their belly and they're not related to bears. The word koala actually comes from an Aborigine word, which are the native people of Australia, and the word means no drink. And that's because you'll rarely ever see a koala come down out of a tree and go to a creek to drink water. They get most of the water that they need from the eucalyptus leaves that they're actually eating. And then somebody asked what their scientific name is. I'm going to try to say it. It's Phascolarctos cinereus, which means pouch bear gray. So, some of you guys were concerned about the koalas after the wildfires, wondering how they're doing. They aren't wiped out. They're not endangered now. They were listed as vulnerable before the wildfires. They're still listed as vulnerable now, so not an endangered species, which is really good. There were about 8,000 is the estimate of koalas that were lost in the wildfires, which is really sad. And in some local areas, they went extinct. Those populations were lost completely. In other areas, New South Wales, for example, lost about a third of their koala populations. And then in other areas, the koala populations were just fine and weren't hurt by the wildfires. The wildfires went around them. So different effects in different areas, but they are not an endangered species still. And the Australians are doing a really great job of helping them out. So there are rehabilitators going out and helping them, the ones that have burns or that are dehydrated, getting them back up on their feet again and getting them back out to ecosystems that can sustain them for a bit, or keeping them in until those ecosystems are safe to put them back out in. A great place that you could donate to if you're interested in helping out the koalas would be Aussie Ark. They do some fantastic work, and I'll link them in the description here. Some people are asking, why do they sleep so much and how do they sleep? So they're going to sleep up in the trees because for a koala to go down on the ground would be pretty dangerous. That's where all of your predators are. So they're going to stay up in the trees. They're going to just sit up on a tree and take a nap, and they're going to sleep for about 18 to 22 hours a day, which just sounds amazing. So they're going to spend all that time sleeping. And the reason that they're so sleepy all the time is because all they're eating are eucalyptus leaves, which do not have a lot of nutrients in them. So they're really sleepy boys, not getting a lot of energy from their diet. So they sleep all day to conserve that energy so that they can wake up and have the energy to go to another eucalyptus tree and eat those eucalyptus leaves and then go to sleep and conserve energy till the next time. Somebody asked, why do they scream like a baby and bite? So if a koala's screaming like a baby at you and trying to bite you, you're doing something wrong, first of all. Second of all, they do scream. Males will bellow to try to scare off other males or to attract a female if he's wanting to mate. And so they do make different vocalizations, but for the most part, they're pretty quiet animals, except for if a male is trying to attract a female. And then the last question is, can I hug a koala? Now, technically, there are places where you can go to hug a koala. The question is, should you hug a koala? Because, as I talked about, this animal sleeps 18 to 22 hours a day. So it's got sometimes 2 precious hours of very minimal energy to go find food to eat before it goes back to sleep and has to conserve more energy. So a lot of the facilities that have a koala out and are just passing it person to person to person so you can get a picture holding a koala, that's really stressful on the koala. It's using a lot of their energy stores, really hard on them, and they have done some studies on koalas in those situations and found that they are exhibiting a lot of stress signs. So again, it depends on the facility. It depends. Maybe they're only doing 15 minutes with the koala and that's fine for that koala. So I would just say research any facility you're going to go to make sure they're taking care of their animals. Now we're going to move on to sloths. So I want to feature the pygmy 3-toed sloth. They're adorable, they're tiny, and they are critically endangered. So they really need our help. They're losing their ecosystem in South America. Somebody asked, how can we help them out? So you could donate to organizations such as the Sloth Conservation Fund. They have an online shop where you can buy stuff that has sloths on it, and you can sponsor, adopt a sloth. Somebody asked, can I get a pet sloth? You can adopt a sloth. You can foster one to be raised up and taken care of, which is a much better option. Somebody asked how long they sleep for. It's between 10 to 20 hours a day. They'll sit up in the trees just like the koala bears. And again, their food, it doesn't have a lot of nutrients in it. So they don't have a lot of energy that they can run around. Speaking of running around, the average speed for a sloth, get ready for this, is 1 foot per minute. Isn't that beautiful? So great. So that's also 0.15 miles per hour. Very slow, not their food's not running away from them, so they don't have to worry about it. Giant sloths were really a thing. They went extinct, I think, about 8,000 years ago. They think that they were alive at the same time as people were alive, because they found some fossils that had scratch marks on them, so that seems to infer that there were people alive at the same time that there were giant sloths alive, and they were being hunted for food. Somebody asked, why are they so dirty all the time? They look gross and matted. So that's fair. They don't groom themselves. They don't bathe. They actually move so slowly that algae and plants will start to grow on top of their fur. So it's not that they're trying to be gross and nasty. It's just that they're slow and the plants grow on them and they can't get it off. Does it take them like a year to clear one area? You know, you can't expect too much from them. And then somebody asked, why do they hang? That's because it takes a lot less energy to just hang upside down than it would to like swing from tree to tree. So it's a conservation of energy. They have their claws and they just hang and move around in the tree. So that's how they get around, and it conserves their energy. They're also really well adapted for it. So their hair grows like from their stomach down and from their paws down, so it sheds rain instead of being from the back down like on a dog or a cat or most animals that walk upright. And their organs are also attached to their rib cage so that their intestines won't crush their lungs when they're laying on their back when they're walking around. So that covers that. And then lastly, tigers. So you guys voted for the Siberian tiger, and I have a quick couple things on them. They didn't get as many questions, so I'm just going to go through really quick. There are multiple species of tigers. There are Bengal tigers, Siberian tigers, which are also called Amur tigers, Sumatran tigers, Malayan tigers, South China tigers, and Indo-Chinese tigers. Somebody asked, what species are the white tigers? White tigers are typically associated with Bengal tigers, but they're actually a mutt kind of. So white tigers originated from Bengal tigers, and then some Bengal tigers were bred with Siberian tigers. So they're not purebred, and they're often actually inbred. But all tiger species are typically the orange and black stripes. Somebody asked if a different number of stripes means anything. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that maybe you're looking at different species. So some species might have a higher concentration of stripes to orange than a different one. But the stripes are an indicator of an individual. So just like a human fingerprint, their stripe patterns are all different for each tiger. The largest species is the Siberian tiger, males being around 650 pounds, females being about 400 pounds, and being about 10.5 feet long. The largest male ever was 935 pounds. They run between 30 to 45 miles per hour, and all species are endangered or critically endangered. So that's about all the time that we have now. So hopefully that answers any questions you have, and I'll put up some polls to vote for the next animals. So thanks for tuning in, and thanks for joining for Kiki.